Hello everyone, I'm Dead Knight and this is In It to Win It. Don't forget to hit subscribe to get updates on my channel and leave some respectful comments on each of these videos. Today is a video about intellectual honesty with my deck building and a quick revisit of Frost Mage. So I just recently did a video about Frost Mage and I was mentioning that one of the big problems with this deck is that you don't have really an endgame finisher and you don't have any direct spell damage to the face. That's all true, but as I was making the video and uploading it, I said to myself, well, what about Alexstrasza? Alexstrasza is a great new card that is a 8/8 for 9, so nice and top end, and it deals 8 damage to any one target or restores 8 health to any friendly target. So that's some great end game top end damage. That's almost like Pyroblast. So I was like, okay, well, I better give this a try. And if you're playing Alexstrasza and you look at the rest of the deck, so the deck already has Astromancer Solarian, which Solarian Prime is a demon. Then it already has some elementals, plus that dragon, plus that my build was running Venomous Scorpid for a beast. So I also just decided to cut the second Venomous Scorpid for a South Sea Scoundrel. So it serves kind of the same purpose, early body that can destroy another minion and discovers you a spell. And now you've got 5 different minion types. So I cut Yogg for N'Zoth, and now I have a ton of endgame finishers in Alexstrasza, Solarian, and N'Zothing everything back. So based on what I was saying before, that should be a huge dent in some of those problems this deck was facing. So with this new build, now you still have that early game presence. You still have the ability to steal games with Flowcaster by freezing some minions early with some of your free spells and then getting some free Flowcasters out. And so you got that early game presence, and now you also have this late game presence. Another thing I did was I also took out Archaeologists, which even though is a nicely statted early minion that draws a card, I replaced it with Inconspicuous Rider. So that guy costs 1 more mana. It has 1 less health than Archaeologist, but it puts the secret directly from your deck into play. So that's a big help for speed as well, even though you lose those stats. The real goal is to get that early water elemental out, start freezing your opponent's face, and start getting a large body on the board early that your opponent is having a hard time dealing with. So did this fix the problems with the deck like I was hoping it would? The answer is it did not. So the problem is still not with this deck, but with how it performs against other decks. So you still have rush minions are extremely hard for this deck to deal with. So people can get the board back without worrying about being frozen. So Rush Warrior, which is very popular right now, is doing really well against this Frost Mage build. The Death Rattle Demon Hunter with Fell Rattle are absolutely taking control of the game early from your Frost Shards. That has been a big factor as well. And Priest is doing surprisingly well against this deck because of all the spell removal. So you have a really hard time sticking to the board, and it's just not able to provide enough early game pressure to make those end game threats credible against Priest, because if Priest doesn't have to use any of its cards to get rid of the board, then the deck's not a problem for them. So without any of those intermediate burn spells, if Priest can take control of the board with a Sethic Veilweaver and a Holy Smite, and then whatever else they have generating from that, they don't run out of resources while they are fending off your board, and it's just not strong enough to win. So those are the main matchups that people are playing right now, and this deck really isn't doing anything against them. Same thing with Hunter. Hunter is using Trampling Rhino to deal tons of damage without having to worry about freeze, and then it's just getting early pot shots in with its typical face early game that is going around your freeze, or it's spell damage to the face, which you don't have. So it's getting tons of damage in before you can set up, and then finishing you off with piercing shot and with the Rhino. So all the matchups that everybody's playing, this deck is losing against, and it's mostly because of rush and spell removal that other decks are playing. So even though I solved the problems that my deck was having with better deck building, the meta right now is really hostile to Frost Mage. So all these cards that I just named, they're not going away anytime soon. So maybe Hunter might, in 8 months be a little less hostile, but all these other cards are all stuff that came out this year. So I think Frost Mage is going to have a huge uphill battle unless they have some new way to deal with these rush minions, which it's hard to imagine. It's just kind of anathema to how Frost Mage works. The Frost Mage is going to have an uphill battle for a long time. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that we solved the what about Alexstrasza problem, which we tried it, and we tried some more endgame options, and we still just can't overcome the nature of this meta right now. So let me know what you think about Frost Mage. If you see any way to overcome some of these problems, I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, Frost Mage it looks like it's going to be chalked up to kind of a waste of cards right now. So you can use stuff like Varden Dawn Grasp in other decks just as a general good tempo play, but the whole build itself is going to be tough to make work. So leave some respectful comments below and tell me what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in next time.